Hello YouTube, this is Anja Americana. I'm doing this video today because I need to talk about something important. I'm here to talk about sickle cell anemia. If you don't know, I have sickle cell anemia. I was born with it, born in Lagos, Nigeria, diagnosed with it there. Came to the US, came to a town where the black population is not that high in this city. Therein, the sickle cell community here is non-existent. I've heard of 2 or 3 people in this town with sickle cell, but I've only met one. I currently am on hydroxyurea. I am also trying to get back onto my folic acid. I currently take Percocet for pain management. My last hospitalization was in February of this year, 2010. The reason I'm making this video is not so much to tell you guys that I have sickle cell. Like I said, I don't like telling people simply because when you tell people you have a disease, first thing they want to ask, that they may not, is it contagious? Can I get it? No, sickle cell is not contagious. The only way I can transfer it to anybody is that I can transfer it to my children, possibly, depending on whoever I marry and have children with. And just because I have sickle cell does not mean I am weak. It does not mean that I can't do anything for myself. So don't get it twisted. I can still do anything anyone else can do. It's just sometimes I have to know my own limits. I hate doing cold weather. I can do it. I hate it. Running, I used to be able to run, but not as much anymore since I started having osteonecrosis of my hip joints. Another thing that comes with sickle cell is that your major joints start to deteriorate because your blood doesn't flow as well because the cells are in the shape of a sickle, and they tend to block veins and arteries and within joints, and that's where you have the majority of your pain. But as they do that, they also stop blood flow to the bones. That happened to me in my hips. The ball of the femur is dying out. It's eroding slowly, and it's starting to grind against, the socket, which is extremely painful if you didn't know. Like I was saying, the purpose of me doing this video is not to tell you I have sickle cell. It's not to get any type of pity. It's not to have anyone looking at me differently. It's for me to get to know other people with sickle cell. So I need to know some stuff about sickle cell. One, how do you guys deal with your sickle cell crisis? If you have sickle cell, please comment, because I need to meet more sicklers out in the world. Water. Always stay hydrated. I also need to know from the fellas. Ladies can comment as well because I know this happens to you as well. It's quite personal, but please comment because I need some advice. Whatever you guys do, let me know. What do you guys do when it comes to, dealing with priapism? As many sicklers know, priapism is something that comes with being a sickler. A majority of sicklers have dealt with it at least once in their lifetime. To the fellas, how do you deal with priapism? Are there any medications that you take that prevent it? Are there any medications that you take to get rid of it? My sickle cell specialist directed me to try taking Sudafed. Apparently Sudafed somehow helps in preventing a priapism crisis. If you didn't know, Sudafed is a steroid, and the more you take, the longer it keeps you awake. And I need some sleep in my life. But anyway, how do you deal with it? What medications do you take to prevent it? I also have phenylephrine, which is a mixture, a solution. I have to self-inject, which is painful. If you know what I'm talking about, you know where I have to inject it. It's painful. Every time. It doesn't matter how many times you do it, it's still painful. I've tried showers. I've tried, shadow boxing actually works quite well if you just, find a place where you can just box, but you have to do it vigorously to the point where you're sweating and your heart rate's up, basically to get the blood flowing in other areas, other directions. How do you deal with crisis? How do you deal with osteonecrosis, hip joint pains? You know, if you guys are dealing with your hips starting to go, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with priapism? That's the big one that I need to know. Because if I can figure out how to deal with priapism, I can get some sleep. I feel like my health would be a lot better if I could get some sleep. More sleep than I usually do. Anyways, let me know how to deal with this better, especially in this town where I can't ask anyone else. The doctors don't know because they barely see anybody with sickle cell in this town. I've gone online and I can't find a definitive answer. I feel like this is something I need to ask other sicklers about. Perhaps you guys have better treatments out there that you deal with. Help me out, please. Comment, subscribe, rate the video. Hopefully you get back to me soon and I'll get back to you as well. Alright, yo.